In April 1945, in a rain-soaked prisoner processing tent at the Reinwezen Lager near Remagen, 47 German auxiliary women stood in soaked greatcoats, waiting for whatever came next. They had been captured 3 days earlier during the American crossing of the Rhine. Most were signals operators, clerks, nurses, drivers. They were exhausted, filthy and terrified. The American sergeant walked the line and spoke in careful, deliberate German through an interpreter. "Boots off, socks off, show us your feet." The women froze. This was not what the propaganda films had prepared them for. Ingrid, 23, a signals auxiliary from Berlin, felt her stomach knot. She had not removed her boots in 4 months. The leather had long since molded itself to her skin. Blisters had burst, scabbed, burst again. "What is this?" "Some kind of trick," she whispered. The sergeant was not alone. With him were men of the U.S. Army Medical Corps, young medics with clipboards, crates of bandages, bottles of sulfa powder, portable stoves already heating water. This looked less like humiliation and more like a field hospital. One by one the women sat. The first to obey was Hannah, 31. She unlaced her boots slowly. The stench that rose made even the Americans step back a pace. Her socks came off with strips of skin attached. The medic kneeling in front of her did not flinch. He really looked, and his face went pale. "Jesus," he whispered, "get sulfa." "All of it, warm water now." Ingrid went next. When her boots came off, the medic simply stared. Trench foot so severe that the skin of both feet sloughed away in grey-white sheets. "How long?" he asked through the interpreter. "Since January," she answered, voice flat. "We never took the boots off." Orders were to keep moving. He did not scold her. He only called for more help. They worked through the line. 47 pairs of ruined feet. The tent filled with the smell of rotting flesh. Then slowly, astonishingly, with the sharper smell of iodine and the clean bite of sulfa powder. The medics poured the precious white drug onto German feet, as if it grew on trees. They used 50 pounds that afternoon. Greta was last. She tried to refuse. When the first boot came free, fresh blood welled instantly. Johnson's breath caught. Shards of window glass glittered in the raw flesh. 37 pieces in all. She had walked 300 miles on them, rather than fall into Soviet hands. He worked in silence, tweezers steady, dropping each shard into a metal pan where they rang like tiny bells. At the 25th piece his eyes filled. A tear slid down his cheek. "Why do you cry?" she asked in halting English. He met her gaze. "My sister died of blood poisoning in 43. I swore I'd never let infection take another life if I could stop it. Doesn't matter whose life." He finished the extraction, cleaned the wounds, dusted them with sulfur, wrapped her feet in clean white bandages. Around them, the tent had become something else entirely. American nurses knelt in the mud and washed German feet with warm water and soap. One of them, Lieutenant Rebecca Weinberg, a Polish-Jewish immigrant, moved from woman to woman without hesitation. When she reached Elsa, a 19-year-old former BDM leader, Elsa jerked her foot away. "This is propaganda," Elsa hissed. "You're filming this. It isn't real." Rebecca said nothing. She simply rolled up her left sleeve and showed the number tattooed on her forearm. 743. "I wash your feet," Rebecca said quietly in German, "because I will not become what was done to my family. Infection does not care which flag you marched under." Elsa stared at the numbers, then at the Jewish woman kneeling before her. Something inside the girl broke open. She began to shake. Then she slid from the bench to her knees in the mud, sobbing without sound. One by one the others followed, not because anyone ordered them to kneel, but because the weight of what they were seeing was unbearable. By nightfall the tent smelled of antiseptic instead of rot. 47 women limped out on bandaged feet into the rain, no longer quite the same people who had entered. Months later, in occupied Germany, several of those same women asked to work in American military hospitals voluntarily. They worked beside Rebecca and the others side by side, enemies no longer. Years after that, Greta took the stand at Nuremberg. Calmly, without dramatics, she described what had happened in that tent on a rainy April day. She told the court about Private Johnson's tears, about Rebecca's tattooed arm, about warm water and white bandages. In that moment, 47 German women discovered that humanity could be wider than any border, deeper than any propaganda. She ended with a sentence that echoed through the courtroom and still echoes. They knelt and washed our feet. That is the difference between them, and